If the prospect says, I don't have time to review it, just send me a proposal, I won't send the proposal. If they're not engaging with a document, a simple Word doc or a Google Doc, what are the chances of them saying yes to a 50 to 100K plus proposal?
In this episode, we're covering the discovery brief, the one document that separates sellers who close from sellers who keep getting ghosted after a great meeting.
I don't progress a deal without it.
Yeah.
It's one of my gates, actually. When I finish a meeting with a prospect, and I basically just write out, I take the notes and I summarize it. And I have a very simple executive summary. One part of the mountain or a cliff, and they're trying to get to the other cliff, right? There's a gap. That gap is the barrier from current to future state.
Yeah.
And our objective in the sales process is to help them see what that gap is and allow them to have a safety net underneath to go from point A to point B.
Yeah.
If you're in sales and your proposals keep going quiet after a great meeting, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Revenue Leaders Podcast.
Welcome to our third episode of this new mini-series. As a part of this, we've covered off how to essentially structure your first meeting for discovery. We've covered off and gone deep into what sort of questions we need to ask. Now it is about delivering the brief. So for this episode, Louis, delivering a great brief. Let's go.
What's a brief?
What is a brief?
Well, I think, because I think in the world of selling, there's so many different acronyms and words for things. Sometimes we just got to distill it back to what are we actually talking about here? And I've loved the concept. When I was first introduced to the concept of a discovery brief, I fell in love with it, right? Because as a seller, we have great meetings and you want to share notes. But if you just share notes in its note format of, hey, this is exactly what I've heard, then you're leaving it up to the buyer to then interpret, shift it around, actually use it to progress, right? When for me, it's not about asking the buyer to do more. It's about enabling them to do less.
And have clarity.
Right? Yeah. Because our role is to guide, nurture, and enable, if we think about that the sales process. So for me, I've used this, I use it religiously, and you've seen it in every deal. I don't progress a deal without it.
Yeah.
It's one of my gates, actually. That one I have when I finish a meeting with a prospect, I'll take, whether it's a transcription or my handwritten notes, depending on if it's face-to-face or virtual, and I basically just write out. I take the notes and I summarize it. And I have a very simple executive summary. It's like, a paragraph. Then it moves into a bit of a problem statement. So what did I hear about the problem that you shared with me? I summarize that problem statement just in a very, very short, succinct way. Then that moves into bullet points of current state, so the challenges that are impacting them today, and then future state. So what are they trying to get to? Because I want to paint a bit of a picture here, right? If you think about the concept of selling is they're at, one part of the mountain or a cliff and they're trying to get to the other cliff, right? There's a gap. That gap is the barrier from current to future state.
Yeah.
And our objective in the sales process is to help them see what that gap is and allow them to have a safety net underneath to go from point A to point B.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the sales process that we create. So essentially the brief allows them to take their thoughts, and it also crystallizes their thinking as well, right? And we put things down on paper. The reason I use it as such a crucial component of my sales process is because there's two parts to it. I ask them to engage with it because I also have an action plan at the end. And you've seen it. We ask them for feedback. We give them a Google Doc. Yeah, there's some tools out there, digital deal rooms, but we give them a Google Doc and say, just go through it, mark up what I might have got wrong, add stuff I might have missed, and just generally make it your own.
Yeah.
Right? The reason I do that is because if you think about the steps of a sales process, collaboration is one of those key steps. Like if you don't have collaboration, you can't progress.
Yeah, you're building that bridge between the two cliffs together.
So if you think about, you get time with the prospect, then they share information with you because that's another step of the sales process, right? The next part is they've got to actually collaborate with you. I'm not selling to you. We're working together on a joint outcome, right? We're working together on a business case. So by giving them the document and allowing them to touch it, feel it, adjust it, make their own, even the language component.
Yeah, use their own language.
Yeah.
Yep.
What happens is that becomes the scope of work.
Yeah.
That becomes, well, not the scope of work, but it becomes the key part that we then build the proposal around, right? it also becomes a document that we share internally, because in most deals, you're not just selling to one person, you're selling to a committee.
Yeah, that's right.
And we need to start to set a bit of an agenda on why we're even tackling this project, right?
And usually, like with it as well, that problem, if we can, I guess, create some of that level of ROI around it as well, because of the types of buyers that will be part of that decision making. Like I find that if you can't put numbers to it, if you can't put improvement metrics or to it, then it's generally sometimes it's a nice to have, right?
Yeah.
I find that sometimes sales without this, nice to have. Sometimes, like with it, when you can truly identify that problem, it is we can fix this with whatever solution it is, and it will move us over to this future state.
Absolutely. And that's why it's important to have some sort of document that's identifying like, hey, this is our current state. And we talk about current state. This is our, for example, conversion metrics.
Yeah.
This is our, time it takes to close a deal. And these are the things that we need to improve upon in order to meet our quarter 1 or quarter 2 targets, right? So it's important to put some form of metrics in there and not make up the metrics, because then you're putting your hand in the cookie jar. You've got to ask them. It's got to be in their words. And this comes back to our great friend Leslie talks about earning the right is, they're not going to give you commercial in confidence information if you haven't earned the right. You've still got to build trust. That's why it's important that you might not get that information in the very first meeting, but the subsequent discovery calls that you have with them, and you're building further trust, and you're, being seen as a consultant and an advisor, they'll be more inclined to share some of their data with you, right?
It's funny, Louis, because I've been doing this over a series of a few months. I've got big opportunity enterprise, and one of the biggest problems is on onboarding. And to me, I've seen onboarding as a huge issue and consideration. So I've actually been building out this, what I call an onboarding calculator, where you are able to identify the unforeseen costs. Yeah. You look at it from a rep perspective, your churn, all of this sort of stuff, and how much an organization can save by reducing that onboarding ramp. Now with that, I earned the right to be able to show that, because I had a mutual action plan. We've got a list of activities that we need to be able to do. I've also got a Loom video scripts that they had to review. So then when I record around Coach Pilot, these are the things to consider, and it's curated exactly for that organization. But then when I was like, we need to work on the onboarding piece of it, I went from doing it for like a collection of teams to getting all of the individual numbers on each of the different regions, because I've earned the right and to be able to illustrate that. Now that's because I've been able to do that discovery brief, because I've been able to show that action plan at the end of it. What I found is that trust gate just keeps opening and opening, and I'm getting more and more information. And so it's like, to me, if you've missed this step, you ultimately, I feel like it's dominoes. Yeah. You basically you've got like an 80% win rate when it comes from proposal. Yeah. But I think that starts at this discovery 100%. Brief.
Pardon the interruption. I'm Luigi, one of the co-hosts here at Revenue Leaders. You'll notice we don't run sponsors or ads on Revenue Leaders.
This show is free. Our goal is to help you grow revenue and build your sales system that you can rely on. We do have a favor to ask though.
If this episode gives you one clear idea that you can use, do these 2 things. First, share it with one person, a founder, a revenue leader, or a rep who wants to grow their business. Just one. That's how the show grows.
Second, grab free access to our vault over at coachpilot.com/vault. Inside, you'll get the frameworks, templates, and short courses we use with clients to help them scale pipeline and increase win rates.
So the deal is simple. If you get value, share the episode with one person and go to coachpilot.com/vault to get the tools to put this into action. All right, let's get back to it.
And that's why it's a gate, right? Because when I circulate it, if the prospect says, I don't have time to review it, just send me a proposal, I won't send the proposal. Yeah. Because I'm like, if they're not engaging with a document, a simple Word doc or a Google doc, what are the chances of them reading and saying yes to a 50 to 100K plus proposal?
No.
It's Buckley's, right? So for me, I use it as a gate. And one of the red flags, And if you're throwing your notes, meeting notes into an LLM and saying, hey, write my brief, double check it, because I did that for once and then it came up with numbers and I'm like, where did you get these numbers from?
Don't know, made it up.
And it's like, well, yeah, I kind of just made it up. I'm like, great.
Filled in the gaps.
Yeah. It said, you're right. It tells you like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Now, that's why Coach Pilot's designed to, it's going to fix that, but we'll give you some information on that later. But again, there's something, there's a good learning in reviewing notes of a prospect from a meeting and looking at it, and it helps you establish an understanding of their position. Because if we go back to the core fundamentals of selling, empathy is key.
Yes.
We need to have, and we had a great interview with the vice president of commercial from DP World, who spoke about, when a crisis happens, you're with the client, you're with your customer, you're in the trenches, you're solving problems together. There is something powerful about looking at the notes, understanding their state of play, feeling their pain, because it can help you position things differently moving forward, right? So the discovery brief is not just a tick of your sales process.
Yeah.
It's beyond that.
Yeah.
It helps you establish the state of play. It helps you establish potentially their mindset, right? How they're feeling, the emotional part. There's something truly having a real negative impact. There's going to be an emotional lever, an emotional element. People buy with emotion first and justify with logic.
Yes,
right? We know
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
It's so important that brief is something that we build upon and circulate that within our own team. Yeah. And ultimately, if we can nail the brief, if we can get them to confirm, and then we can start getting consensus across their teams. And this is why it's not a one brief fits all. It's tailored to the audience we're talking to. That then earns us the right to progress to a point of presenting our proposal.
This is so good. And now for those who don't have it, they can access it.
Absolutely.
In the show notes, they can sign up for our community growth forum. We will also be regularly training on this topic as well, but there's thousands of dollars worth of free resources there for people to use. If you are keen to see more on this, please feel free to join Growth Forum. We do regular sales calls where we train the community, one topic a week, which we dive deep on. So this could be one of those ones coming up as well on the brief. We'd love to see you there.